In some parts of Africa, they say you're ready for school when you can reach your hand over your head and touch your ear. In Finland, they don't start formal education until you're age 7 unless you initiate it. But here in the United States, we don't have great metrics for when we start formal school. A lot of times people will send their kids to preschool so that way they'll be ready for actual formal school. So you shouldn't start actual paper and pencil school with kids until they can hold a pencil properly. That's like this kind of grip, because if they don't have a good grip, they're going to learn how to write the wrong way, and then you're going to have a lot of complications to iron out later on. But take heart, that doesn't mean that you can't do school. So I'm going to show you lots of ways that you can teach your kids letters and letter strokes without having to do any actual writing. First, you want your kids to have good letter recognition. It's easiest to teach them one letter at a time. I usually do one a week. So you show them the letter B and you say, this is B, it says B. Now you have to be careful when you pronounce this. You don't want to say, it says B, because that puts an extra vowel in there. It's B, 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 B. So your mouth doesn't open because your mouth opens on vowels. Some people say you should teach your kids cursive letters first because they're easier to write. But since I don't worry about writing, I think that you should do printed letters first because they're more abundant. Like if you want to read any book, it's not going to be in cursive. So I save cursive until about 3rd grade. There's also debate about whether to teach capital or lowercase letters first. Capital letters are easier to recognize the differences, but lowercase letters are going to come up more often in printed words. So that's kind of a debate, but I just like to introduce them both together. And I explain that the uppercase letters are kind of like moms and dads. We use them at the beginning of a sentence and for proper names. And incidentally, we call them uppercase because back in the days of the printing press, they were kept in the uppercase, I think because they were used less often, and then the lowercase down below. So that's why they're uppercase and lowercase. So after introducing a letter, I try to get them to name as many words as they can think of that start with this letter. So sometimes we do it on a piece of paper and we just hang that up on the wall for the week and we look back over it and try to add to it every day. You could also use a marker board or chalkboard or whatever you have. Like, you don't have to be limited on this. I'll do a video about other activities you can use to build off of the letter of the week, but for now, let's just look at non-pencil ways to learn how to make letters. There are a ton of worksheets for letter recognition. You just do an image search for letter B worksheets or letter B activities, and a ton will come up. So this one is you cut out the letter B's and you stick them in the right house. This one, you make a book that you can practice reading. I'd have them practice reading this every single day. It's not real reading, it's just pretend reading. These ones are fun. They're bingo dots. So you can buy bingo stampers from like Walmart or the dollar store. We have them in almost every color by now. And your kid can just pop, 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 do the letters, but make sure you put something underneath because they'll probably bleed through. Here's another bingo stamper one. And my most favorite worksheets are these ones. They're from themeasuredmom.com, and I think that they just have these really cute faces. Sometimes the pictures can be confusing. Like if this was the letter F, is that a frog or a toad? So I just go with whatever my child says. I don't worry about it. I wouldn't mark it wrong if they thought that it was a toad. You also want to give your kids lots of exposure to letters. So here's some different ideas on that. I've bought these cards from the dollar store before, and they just have pictures on them. You match them up. I've also have a uppercase, lowercase one. I have bought stamps before. There's ways to make your own. I've got magnets, are always really cheap. You can find those pretty much everywhere. And so just lots of different ways to play with letters is a great thing. You could also have your child build letters. So you can buy fancy kits for this, but I just like to make them out of paper because it's easy. So they would put those together. You could either glue them or just practice building the letter B. There's also printable puzzles for if your child is a little bit more advanced. There are, these are called Play-Doh mats. And you could laminate these, but that's only if you're going to use them a whole bunch of times. I just print it out. It's not a big deal. And then you have your kid roll out Play-Doh and put it on there. You could also have them decorate the Play-Doh with something that matches that. So like I've got beads for the letter B. I've done S's for sequins. You can usually find ideas for that on Pinterest. But there's lots of other things you can do with these little mats. I've got bears that somebody has given to me, and I've had my kid line them up to make the letter B. I've bought blocks from the dollar store, and it doesn't always have to be something that starts with this letter. I just happen to be lucky here tonight. So those are just foam blocks that I bought for $1. I have made foam pattern blocks before, and you could have them build the letter B with those. You can also buy an advanced version of that out of wood. Someone gave me these nice little wood tiles. They're fun. Or plastic. You could also make cards that are texture ones. And so like this is a piece of pipe cleaner, and I just shaped it on there, and I could glue it on, and I'd probably put arrows to show them which way to run their finger first. So 1, 2, and just touching things is really beneficial for some kids. You could also make this out of sandpaper, or I've got glitter letters that I found at the dollar store before. So there's lots of different options on that. You can buy these, but they're kind of expensive too. You could have your kid take pipe cleaners and straws and build a letter that way. This is a great thing for them to practice building up finger skills. If you have a chalkboard, you could write letters on it and then give them a cup of water and a paintbrush, and they can erase the letters, and that's always a lot of fun for them. You could do salt writing. So that's where you take a cookie sheet or a Pyrex. I like a Pyrex just because it's a little bit deeper, and you put salt in the bottom, and then you can give them a stick if they don't like to actually touch it, but otherwise use their finger to draw the letter in there that you call out. And I like to bump it up a level, and I use sugar, because then once they've gotten it done and they've done it right, instant reward. So this is just plain white sugar that I just dropped some food coloring in it, but I've also had colored sugar before. I've used sweetened condensed milk, which is really nice because you don't have to shake it to get the letter to disappear. You could use dried beans or rice, anything that's textury. My sneakiest way to get my kids to learn letters is at night when I'm tucking them in, I have them lay down on their bellies, and then I will trace a letter on their back, and I'll say, down, around, around. And then they think about it and they'll say, B. I'm like, yeah. And they really like that. I guess it's kind of calming for them. So in order to build up your students' hand strength to get ready for writing, here are 3 quick tips. You can have them practice using scissors. I used to keep old telephone books around or junk mail just to let them practice cutting. And if they're not ready for scissors, there's special scissors that you can buy that have like a spring in them that makes it easier. Or anything like tweezers or tongs are other good tools, and it helps build up hand strength. Things like playing with Play-Doh are really good for muscle strength. I know I don't like Play-Doh because it's messy, but it's totally worth it. So you show them different techniques like patting and rolling and making snakes. And once they can do that, you can have them make pasta. If you don't want them to have egg products, you could make like a mashed potato and then dump in flour, and that will make up a nice gnocchi kind of pasta. And finally, you want to limit how much screens they use. A big challenge for preschoolers nowadays is that they use screens so much and swiping that they don't have good hand strength or coordination. And so instead, try to give them plenty of opportunities to pick up small things. So ask them to pick up crumbs on the carpet, have them collect acorns or stringing beads, playing with buttons, or making sensory bins. So there you have it. Lots of ways for them to practice letter writing without actually writing. Oh, I just remembered one more, is you can tell your kid, can you make the letter B with your foot? And then like have them use their leg to make the B, or fold your body into shapes. So lots of fun ways, and it's nothing to stress out about. It's just a way to get your kid being excited and having fun about school. So there you go.